So it's a very significant systems change. They're very proud, and it's going to have impacts across the nation. And as Tom Perez, the Deputy Attorney General, was going over this, he was talking about the cases they're in, and he said, we're involved in California, go forward to my next slide, will you? He said, you can't use your budget crisis to shirk your responsibilities. I want to make sure and get him right, because he said that. So, I think that was very significant. Would you go back? Okay, so this has been a really groundbreaking week for the mental health and developmental disability populations, but they also said the next big cases are in Alabama and Florida, and we're going to be talking about people with physical disabilities that are forced into nursing homes because of lack of appropriate community services. They've got a new framework at the Department of Justice designed by Sam Bagenstos, and Sam was out here 3 weeks ago meeting with California disability leaders, and his comments from that are posted on our website, where I'll show you at the end, so you can read for yourself what he said. It was very inspiring. But basically, the Department of Justice has been about the business of fixing institutions in the past, under the past administrations. And it's important to protect people's constitutional rights in institutions, but they've changed all that. And they start with the question, does the person belong in an institution in the first place? And they're going to move from there into a greater and greater involvement in the community system of care. And the first step of that, 5 minutes? Okay. The first step involved in that is, sort of lost my train of thought there for a second. The Georgia settlement has a very intensive quality assurance program to make sure that those community programs are excellent and meet the needs of people living in the community. And from that, they're going to build on further involvement of the Department of Justice in the community system of care. Just one last point on that. They're also working with CMS, Housing and Urban Development, and Health and Human Services to start to change some of those nefarious federal policies that make it hard to fund the kinds of services that we need in the community, and so that their DOJ is bringing the big stick, and they're working with their federal government partners to bring the resources to get it done. My observation, just for all of you, is that with term limits, the recession, and the current environment, the kinds of really quality policy making that used to be really deep and long-term and planned for the future have sort of eroded. Those initiatives aren't coming out of the legislature anymore. We're not seeing them out of the administration. People are sort of, fight for your life kind of mode, and they're not able to have the long view. And so I think that community-based organizations, us, have to start to be the developers of policy, not just the advocates of good policy, but we have to actually understand what it is that we want in detail and be able to bring that plan forward and then advocate for it. So I am going to finish on time with a couple of minutes for questions. The last piece that I wanted to mention was collaboration and coalition. Our coalition is all disability groups, disability leaders, older adult groups participate in the coalition. I'm sorry I couldn't turn that into gold, but it says www.californiansforolmstead.org, and it's on your handout. And that has all the policy documents from Sam Bagenstos' speech to the Pennsylvania report and the other reports I referred to. We're on Facebook, and I put updates there about what's breaking news almost every day. And we have a monthly teleconference the first Friday of each month from 10 to 11. And if you join our coalition, then you'll get the notices with the call-in number. And we'd love to have each and every one of you help us in our work. Thank you very much. Hope I didn't talk too fast. When Sam Bagenstos came, he talked so fast that the captioner couldn't keep up with him. So he made me look like I talk slow. We have a few more minutes. I'm sorry I didn't leave more time, but I want to ask if people have questions. We just have one microphone, so I'm going to bring it around. This gentleman right here.
Yes, Yes, that's definitely a bombshell, that 1/3 of all transitions do not require state-funded services. Would that hold here? Because I don't think Pennsylvania has anything quite like IHSS. A lot of people, and also, is there a way to predict in advance which transitions will and will not require those?
It's new information, and I don't know the answers to those questions, but as a researcher, it makes me question the assumptions of the old system of care. And so I don't necessarily have any conclusions that we ought to do this or that as a result of it, but I think we
She gets a certain amount of hours a month for me because I can't do certain things. But when my dad was alive, my dad was in the hospital, and they put my mother in a home. And she was there until, even after my father had passed away, my twin sister and I went and got her out of there and brought her home with us. But my oldest sister lived in the same area, but nobody fought for my mother, and she shouldn't have been there at all while my father was in the hospital. But besides all that, I can feel a lot of pain with a lot of people here, and more so going through my own, and I'm getting where everybody else is getting to. But I pray to God every day, and I want to tell everybody I'll pray for everyone here. And thank you so much for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. I'll carry it back to her. Thank you very much. Sorry, it is kind of heavy, but it works, so.
Speaking of that, I have a mother who just turned 90, and she lives with me. And I'm always helping her. But she's supposed to be my caregiver when my caregiver's not there. They cut my caregiver's hours because my mother lives with me. Yeah, and she's 90. But she doesn't need a caregiver. If she needed one, she'd have to pay for it herself because she has more money than I do.
Sorry, I don't want to speak without the microphone, so we're sharing. Steve Kay is a researcher with UCSF, and he calls some of these measures managing costs by undesirability. And so basically, in Washington, they found that if they let consumers choose, it's almost in every case cheaper. If they really design that array of services, people will choose the cheaper option. It supports the most independence, the most quality of life for them. But what we have now is we have a system that is rationing by undesirability in the community services. Or nursing homes are so undesirable that they're hoping people can live in the community without services. So that's why we need reform. Wrap it up. Okay. Thank you very much for coming, and thank you for your work. Thank you for everything. Appreciated you setting my. Thank you so much. I should have thanked Jessica, who did some of our banner.